This is Kevin Pruitt with another episode of Rising Tide Startups, and my guest today is Abby McClain. Abby, thanks for joining us on Rising Tide.
Hi guys. So, yeah, I'm a full-time digital nomad and I travel the world right now and I run a marketing company. And just a little background on that. I got into working online like 2 years ago with online blogging, and then like so many other people, I found ClickFunnels and got really deep into marketing, and then that led to Facebook marketing. And now I do that full time. I do marketing for real estate agents and travel while I do it.
So take a step back and say, okay, I grew up here, I went to school, I studied this, and I mean, everything that was a linear path that led you to digital marketing online, right?
No, no, not even close. So I grew up in Indiana. I was born in Chicago and I grew up in Indiana. And then I went to Indiana University and I studied psychology and neuroscience. And I thought for sure I was going to like be a doctor, like a therapist or something. Like I did 2 years of pre-med and everything like that. And then I completely took a turn and I started bartending in college, and I was making so much money bartending that I was like, I'm just going to be a bartender. And then it turns out that when you bartend, you can't travel the world. And that was like
Yeah.
my ultimate passion. Like my entire life, I was like, like, I just want to leave no stones unturned in my
Mm.
entire life. So how can I do that? Like, how can I start traveling? And that led me to like working online. As long as you can get an internet connection, you can work. And I became super passionate about trying to figure that out. And there's been so many bumps along the way and changing mind to go from like, I'm going to be a blogger, I'm going to be a life coach, I'm going to do like online business coaching, and now I'm going to do marketing. And like, the thing is, there's so much information out there, and like, you have to start to hone in on what you're actually passionate about.
Right, right. So tell me, give us just a kind of a quick overview of, name two or three things that you tried that worked pretty well, and maybe name two or three things that you tried that just were absolute, I think is the word you used, was maybe a train wreck. So
So when I first got started in like trying to work online, I was really passionate about blogging. And I think blogging's amazing. Like I was meeting these super intelligent, passionate people who were writing every single day. But I
Mhm.
think a lot of people don't realize, like, if you want to start traveling right now and you want that freedom, just blogging by itself is a really, really hard path to do. You
Right.
have to be so dedicated to writing every single day. And even then, like, you might blog consistently for like a year, 2, 3 years before you start actually making any money. So I would say that was like one of the things, not like train wreck probably, but like I just realized that like that's not going to be the path that like allows me to travel, at least not right now.
Right.
I
'Cause
think
you
if
got
my
bills now. I mean, you can't postpone my rent check for, 2
yeah.
years from now, I'll pay you for rent for today. That's great.
Exactly. And then I would say like another thing that didn't work well is kind of like when you're trying to do everything.
Mm.
So when I first got started on online marketing, I was like, oh, well, I can do Google and I can do Facebook and I can do ads in all these different places, and I can do it for everyone, and anyone who wants any kind of marketing online, I can build them funnels, I can run ads, I can build websites, I can do everything.
Mm.
And that ends up very, very difficult. You end up
Yeah.
with a lot of different projects across the board, and you like, a lot of people when they first start, they're like, you're a one person show.
Mm.
So
Sure.
like, even though I was using like contracting out some of the work, like it becomes very hard when you're trying to do everything for everyone. And in the beginning, you're probably not asking for enough money.
Right.
So like, you're like doing way too much work for not enough
Yeah.
money. As far as things that worked, when I picked like an actual like niche, like I
Mhm.
picked real estate. And like we've talked about like how like now I'm moving into a place where like I might be moving out of real estate,
Mhm.
but it allowed me so much success in the time. Like from, I was like, all right, I'm just going to do real estate, because I threw myself fully into just helping one person. And you've probably, like, a lot of people have heard that before. Like when you envision your absolute like ideal client, like imagine one person sitting in front of you and describe everything about that person and help that person. And as soon as I kind of tuned into that, everything started making sense. Everything was easier. Now, when I pick up a client, like a real estate client, there's no questions. I already know
Right.
what I'm doing. I know the setup process. I could set up a new client in probably a matter of hours. If,
Mhm.
once I do the onboarding call, like that's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
So
and
why real
then
estate?
So
What was the attraction to real estate?
I was living down in Florida, and my boyfriend at the time was in real estate, and my aunt in Florida was in real estate. And a lot of my friends, because Florida is like a huge, like real, like there's
Oh,
tons of realtors
absolutely.
there.
Yeah.
It's like probably,
Yeah.
I think, one of the most like real estate, like dense
Yeah, I'm
like
sure.
states in the country. So I felt like everyone I was meeting was in real estate. And it was just kind of like a natural progression, because when
Hmm.
I started learning how to do ads, I wanted to help the people around me, and the people around me were in real estate.
That
So,
makes sense.
a
Yeah.
lot of people want to do like, oh, like I'll run your ads for free. And then, just to see if you get results. Well, I started doing stuff like that, and I started getting results. And then it was like a natural progression from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that was approximately what year?
It's pretty crazy. I only got into real estate about a year ago. So I started learning everything online 2 years ago. I literally knew nothing about working online. And then a year ago, I started doing Facebook ads for real estate agents. And I've been with that all year working on that. And like I said, now I'm like, okay, maybe I'll transition into a different niche, but
Right.
that's to be determined as I figure more out about business and more about myself and like what I'm really passionate about.
So you finished school, and what was I mean, you said you were bartending for a while. Was there a transition period from school to, I'm going to be a digital nomad. I'm going to start working online. I mean, what was that? There's kind of a gap there that I haven't
So
quite filled in yet.
when I started bartending, and then I stayed in the same town as my college to bartend at. I actually worked at like a really, really high profile bar. It was like it was in the top 50 highest grossing bars in the nation.
Mm,
So like that was a pretty legit job for like coming out of college, like making a lot of money. It was like hard to walk away from that. But
right. I'm
then
thinking Tom Cruise and spinning tumblers and stuff.
yeah, it was pretty
Like neon
crazy.
lights behind you and stuff,
Like
live DJ.
seriously, like we had a day where we did like 100 and I think 50,000 in liquor sales
That
in
is
one day.
incredible.
So
In Bloomington, Indiana, huh?
yeah, in Bloomington, Indiana, it was nuts. So then after that, I moved down to Florida because I met a boy. I moved to Florida, so there's the gap in the story.
Mhm.
And I started bartending down there, and like it's just like when you're really, really passionate about something. Like I was always passionate about traveling, and then
Right.
you get out of college, and like life just kind of happens to
Sure.
you if you don't take control. So I kind of realized like life was just
Okay,
happening
stop
to.
right there just for a second. I want you to say that again because that is such a key point, especially to people in maybe in your age demographic. You remember what you just said?
Yeah. So basically, like life just happens to you if you don't stop and actually take control.
Was
And
there a moment that
mm,
you were sitting there and you thought, wait a minute, if I'm gonna be 55 years old and still doing this right now and still dreaming about travel if I don't get on it?
yeah. So, I mean, like, I guess, I mean, I don't know how appropriate this is, but like, because I was bartending, I was in like a lot of nightlife. And, like there's a lot of drinking all the time.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, drinking till people are getting blacked out, and you're doing that like sometimes a couple times a week. And like I feel like one day I was just like watching all the people around me like just being drunk and like dumb, and I like just wanted so desperately, I wanted more.
Mm,
And like, I was in a pretty dark place. Like I was bartending, but I wasn't making nearly as much money as I did when I was back in
right.
Bloomington. So I was like having a hard time paying my bills. My relationship was kind of going to crap because we were both bartending. We were both drinking too much. Like,
Mm,
so I was kind of like unhappy in so many different ways.
yeah.
And I was like, okay. Oh, another part of the story too is I got to my last semester of college and I dropped out. So I actually have 122 credits in college, but I have no degree.
Wow, you're two
so,
credits from finishing or something like that. Wow,
so I
that's
was a
amazing.
college dropout. I had no money. I was in a career I no longer enjoyed. I was in a relationship I was no longer happy in, and I was in Florida away from all of my family.
Hmm.
And I just realized like nothing was going to ever get better in my life if I didn't make it happen. So it was just like little steps, like every day, like go for a walk, listen to 30 minutes of a podcast. Like I used
Hmm.
to walk to work and I would listen to a podcast on my way to work. And then I would bartend full time, and I'd come home and I started taking online courses. Like I used Udemy and then
Yep.
ClickFunnels stuff. And then, other entrepreneurs online have like online courses, like whatever it is, to learn Facebook ads or to learn digital marketing. I started spending all my money on that, and like this ultimate belief that that money that I spent would come back around to me,
Right.
because like
See, I started with the free ones.
I mean, Udemy's pretty cheap. So like, that's where I tell people to start. Cause I was
Yeah.
like, don't go buy like a $1,500 Facebook ads course. Start in Udemy, start trying to find free stuff first. If you feel like you need an elaboration or someone to like hold your hand and walk you through it, then maybe invest in one of those courses. But
Yeah.
it's totally not necessary. It's
Mm-hmm.
just for me, like when I have something broken down, like step by step by step by step, and they're like, this is how I did it. This is how I built my successful Facebook ads business. That's a much easier thing for me to like be like, oh, okay.
Right.
So yeah, like, I don't know. I wanted more,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized like I had to do it myself.
And you woke up one day and you said, you walked into the bar and you said, like, I'm done. I'm going to go make my fortune online and I'm going to go travel. And you just kind of picked out a map and threw a little pin at it. And wherever the pin hit, you said, that's where I'm going. Or did you say, or did you know early on, you said, you know what, I'm going to go to Bali?
No, I had no idea. Actually, I didn't know I was going to be in Bali until like 2 weeks before I was in Bali. So I wish that I would have just been like, oh, like I'm going to quit the bar and I'm going to change my life. But you know, we all have our own doubts. We all have like that
Sure.
feeling inside us, like, oh, like, can I do this? Is
The
it going to
imposter
work? Like,
syndrome or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
I still struggle from that every day. Like I am right now traveling full time while running a business. And I still think thoughts like, am I qualified to teach other people how to do this?
That's funny.
So,
We think we
um,
listen to the same podcast. I mean, you probably listen maybe to Entrepreneur on Fire. You probably listen to maybe Pat Flynn.
yeah, yeah. Pat Flynn was a huge influence when I first got started because I was like, passive income, what? That sounds amazing.
That's
And then
right.
you don't realize how hard it is to
Yeah.
actually make passive
Yeah.
income. But no, like, I mean, you just take the like steps. That's like, I think if I could recommend anything is it's like, don't put so much pressure on yourself to just walk into your job and quit the next day.
Mm,
Like take those little steps and over time it will add up.
right.
Because the first thing I did was, you know, I moved out and I got my own place. So like I got away from an unhealthy relationship and
Hmm.
got myself more space. I got a different bartending job that was more of like a daytime, less like, you know, less partying, less nightlife. I was
Right.
working during the day so I could focus more on like what else I was trying to do. And then, you know, like building my business online, like really becoming dedicated to doing that like every day and just reaching out and actually trying to ask for money is really hard.
Hmm.
Like when you're trying to like prospect for new clients and you're like, no one knows who I am, like blah,
Yeah.
blah, but like just reach out. The worst thing that people can ever say to you is no. And
Hmm.
that's really like you're used to hearing no at that part.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
like it just becomes easier and easier the more you do it. And like once you take those baby steps, like it starts to add up. Like I stayed bartending until literally May of just 2018.
Hmm.
Like while I was doing my business, everything like that. Cause I was like, well, bartending at this point is just extra money.
Sure.
And I can bartend like 2 days a week while I also run my business.
Right.
And then in May, I was like, all right, I'm going to go to Europe. I still didn't even quit my job because I was so scared to like cut that cord. So I kept my bartending job and I was like, when I come back from Europe, I'll bartend again. It'll be fine. But then I came back from Europe and I think I worked one shift and I was like, no, I
I'm
was like
done.
born to be a traveler. I've worked hard to get to this place. So I quit my job. And if you know Arnie Giske, like
Hmm.
he like, oh my gosh, I love Arnie. He's like inspired me so much in so many ways because he's about my age and like I got connected with him online. I went to his meetup when he was in Florida and
Right.
like now we met up while we were in Bali. We're about to meet up in Colombia. So like Arnie's been a huge like positive influence for me. And when I came home from Europe, I was like, I feel so depressed. Like I just feel like I was made to be out on the road. I was made to be a traveler. And I finally like had a taste of it. Like I backpacked 6 countries in 4 weeks and I was in like Morocco. I went hitchhiking in Morocco and like all this crazy
Wow.
stuff.
That's
And I
pretty
came,
bold.
I know. Oh my
That's
gosh.
not pretty. That's really bold.
I'm a pretty bold traveler. I was with two guys, and one of them like lived in Morocco, and one of
Mm,
them was also like a French speaker, and they speak French in Morocco. So I was like, you
right.
know, it'll be fine because we
I
can
like actually
speak.
speak French a bit. It's kind of like half Arabic, half French. It's kind of this weird
Yeah,
conglomeration.
yeah, it's a little weird, but a lot of them will understand French if you speak
Absolutely.
French.
Yeah.
So like, I speak a little bit of French, so I
Mhm.
was like, it's if I'm ever gonna hitchhike somewhere, like right now, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, when I came home, I just was like, no, that like lit a fire inside me that like I know that like I've wanted to travel like this for
Right.
so long and now I finally got to do it and like I was born to do this. So Arnie was like, book your next ticket. And I was like, okay. So like 2 weeks after coming home from Europe, I booked my next ticket, booked a one-way ticket to Thailand. And I was like, all right, in 2 months, I'm going to go to
And
Thailand.
did they ask you at the airport when you landed in Thailand, they say, how come you don't have an onward ticket? Or
They
did
did
they?
not. They do that in some places though.
Uh-huh.
Like sometimes they won't let you like fly because I went to Bali after that and I didn't even know I was going to go to Bali. So I like was researching it and I was like, oh, Thailand's in rainy season right now. I don't know if I really want to be like in a new city when it is like monsooning every day because
Right.
I'm like a homebody anyway. So like
Mhm.
if it's raining, that's just even more excuse for me to like not go out and meet people. And then I talked to Arnie and he was going to be in Bali and I was like, cool, I'll just go down to Bali for like a month and hang out until rainy season's over. Cause this whole time I was planning on going to Chiang Mai. And I was like,
Okay.
I'm gonna live in Chiang Mai and
Yeah,
hang
that's
out.
kind of expat central too. I mean,
Yeah,
Chiang Mai
exactly.
has
For like digital nomads, it's like a
tons
huge
of
hub.
Americans. Yeah.
I didn't even end up going to Chiang Mai the entire time I was in Asia. I never even made it to Chiang Mai because I went to
Mhm.
Bali, fell in love, met a ton of entrepreneurs, hung out with
Yeah.
Arnie, and then like ended up just being like, okay, cool, like I'm gonna do this. And actually, the entire time, no one checked my tickets to see if I had like a way back.
Hmm.
But I know that they can do that and they can
Right.
like refuse like basically
Right.
entry or like they'll refuse like letting you onto your flight. So when I go to Colombia, that's like a really big place that like they check your tickets before
Yeah.
they let you fly there.
A lot of
Um,
times the return ticket is not much more than a one-way ticket, even if you don't, or even if you're not going to use it, you know.
Yeah. So there's actually because like I have such a flexible schedule,
Hmm.
I can fly on like really cheap days. And like so for me, buying one-way tickets is just easier because it allows me to stay flexible. And if I meet people or want to go to a different country or want to hang out, it's just way easier for me than
Right.
trying to plan when I'm gonna come home because
Sure.
I never know.
Sure.
But you can go on and like do like ticket reservations. So
Hmm.
like you pay a company like 10 or $15 and they'll give you basically a fake ticket that you can show the airline
Hmm.
and then they let you on the plane. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, if all else fails, just have one of those,
That's right.
like, and then you should be golden because they're not trying to check that hard. They just want to make sure that you're not going to hang out in the country past like when you're allowed to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing I think, you mentioned, I don't know what my schedule is, so I'm a little flexible. I think that's just the way you're wired a little bit too. So that's kind of
Yeah.
come through in the interview pretty clearly that you know, I don't really
Yeah.
plan too far in advance because I really don't want to limit my options here. I'd like to keep everything open. I Sister, I feel your pain because I fully understand what you're saying because I
And I think like that's a downfall in some ways too. So like I've never been a really business minded person. Like I'm not great with business, not great with finances, not great with numbers, but I've always been a really passionate person. So like I feel like if I can do it and figure it out, like literally anyone can because like anyone would be as good or better than me when it comes to like business stuff and like so when you make decisions like based on passion, sometimes that can like definitely lead your business astray and it can make things
sure.
more difficult. Like for me right now, like I have a successful business helping real estate agents. I already have it all figured out. Like
Hmm.
it's easy for me to like find a realtor and be like, oh yeah, this is what I have to offer. This is what your results are going to be. This
Right.
is our averages. I have testimonials. I have all of that. And now I'm like, well, how passionate am I about real estate?
Let's see what
So it's
I
like
really like this other thing better. It's kind of shiny, and so taste that.
exactly. So now I'm like, oh man, like do I yeah. So that's my turmoil of like always pursuing passion versus, like I could just have like a, 6-7 digit marketing company within the next couple of years if I just stayed focused on one thing, but like shiny objects and passion, like for me, like my ultimate goal is to like change the world. And I'm
Sure.
like, am I going to change the world doing Facebook marketing for real estate?
Mm.
Yeah. So that becomes like a question of like, is my talents and my passion better suited doing something else to like positively influence the world?
Right. Remind me after the interview is over. I'm going to circle back with you. I want to talk to you about that very thing. So, kind
Okay.
of sparked something in my mind here. But so you transitioned, really what, less than 12 months ago, really full in, right?
Yeah.
And
Full
you've
in
been to
started in like May.
So you went to Europe for a couple of weeks, then you came back and you went to, you said Southeast Asia. So you went to Thailand first
Mhm.
and then you
Yeah, I went
ended
to
up in Indonesia.
Thailand. Thailand, I went for like a week, and then because I didn't want to be in rainy season, I went to Bali, fell in love. Life was so easy there. There's so many entrepreneurs. Like I met up with Arnie there. We had like an
Mhm.
entrepreneur barbecue. I met so many awesome people, like online entrepreneurs that a lot of other people would probably know, who like
Right.
you see them online and they're like, wow, these people are so awesome. And then I got to hang out with all of them,
Yeah.
like become friends with them and like hang out at their house and have barbecues together. And I
Mm.
was like, wow, like that's amazing. And the thing is, once you get out of kind of like your old stagnant life and you get around people who are super passionate, like people who are
Mhm.
out here doing their business and changing the world and doing like coaching, and like people who are pushing themselves, like eating healthy and meditating and working out and like putting content out there, like you become more like them.
Yeah.
Like it is so true that like the people you surround yourself with, like
Right.
you are becoming them. You are like them. So when I was bartending and I'm just around a whole bunch of drunk people every
Sure.
day who are complaining about their lives but aren't doing anything to change it, it was really easy to stay there. And then like the more and more friends I make who are like these entrepreneurs and digital nomads, the easier and easier my life becomes to like become more successful because I'm just
What a great
surrounded by
point.
people.
I mean, I mean, the podcast that you and I probably both have listened to, I mean, over and over again. And there's kind of a famous quote by a guy named Jim Rohn that talks about you become the
Oh
five
yeah.
people that are you're closest to.
Yeah,
And that is,
definitely.
I really like the fact that you pointed that out because it's not only that you're becoming that, is that lifestyle and that attitude is almost contagious. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
very difficult to be down when you're around people that are up,
Hmm.
so, and people that are really focused and trying to do work, and it's hard to like go to a co-working space where there's a buzz and there's a lot of work going on and people are really focused and you just kind of sit there and like zone out. I mean, it's because
Yeah.
caught up in the frenzy of getting this done, and that's why I think these are so successful, these co-working spaces. And
Yeah, you have to be careful on co-working spaces though, because like the one in Bali, we have like this joke that it's like more like a chill space than a
well,
co-working space.
now,
It's
but
like
you
a
notice that too when
co-chill.
you come in. That's right.
I think someone called it Coachella because like I was like, yeah, that's kind of true.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
think co-working spaces in general, like even if you're just going there and hanging out and meeting people, you're meeting other passionate people. So you
Right.
will get work done and you will like network. And like networking is really important.
Yeah.
Like it's changed my life. Like, and like a shift happens too when you're around people who work online and entrepreneurs, and like you have different beliefs about money. Like right
Mm.
now I'm not scared, literally. Like finances to me is just so different. Before I felt so stuck and I was worried about bills, and like I was like, oh god, like how am I going to pay this, how am I going to do health insurance and this and that, and I have my student loans, and like I'm like the stereotypical millennial. Like I have
Mm.
tons of college debt. I didn't have like a real career. I wasn't making a lot of money, and I
Yeah.
had like these big dreams and like all this passion, and everyone was like, well, no one cares about your dreams.
And I want to start at the top.
So
I don't
like
want to work up to the top. I want to start at the top.
exactly. So like I don't know, like you now I'm like, well, if I ever really got in a bind, like let's say whatever happened and I lost all of my clients and I was just in a bind, or a big bill came up and I was like, oh, like I got hurt and I had like a medical bill or something like that. I'm literally like, I could just open my laptop, get on any site and start networking
Mm.
and reaching out to like potential clients. Even if I'm just emailing them or I'm cold calling them or whatever I need to do. If I need to make $5,000 this week, like desperately. And then like the thing is, like I have a hard time like making money for myself because I don't actually care that much about money. But let's just say
Mm.
it was like my mom needed the money because
Yeah.
like, and in my mind it's like easier to do it for someone else.
Sure.
Like I could do it. Like, because I'm like, I could work until my fingers bleed from like typing on my keyboard and
Yep.
find these clients. Like, money is easy to come by when that's what you're pursuing.
Mm.
So, like, once you change your money mindset, like, it all becomes so much easier.
Right. And I think it's probably even in this short period of time that you've been doing this, I think it's probably easier for you to do the ask than it was
Hmm.
when you first started. And you think, this actually, I mean, I do have value. I mean, there is
Hmm.
value in the service that I'm providing, and I'm kind of comparing it to others that are doing similar work and, you know, similar even, or maybe you're doing even better quality than they are, but they're asking this, you know, ridiculous amount of money. You're thinking, but I feel good
Mhm.
about this because it's fair. You know, what I'm asking is a fair,
Mhm.
you know, fair revenue for the quality of service that you're delivering. So
Yeah.
take a
And I mean,
little,
like,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, finish.
I still struggle asking for like a lot of money. Like a lot of people tell me that I should raise my
Hmm.
prices. And like I think that's fair in some ways. Like people are going after like a different level of client.
Right.
And like for me, like even asking for money used to be like the scariest thing.
Hmm.
And now like I have no problem asking for money because I know exactly what's going to happen. Like I
Right.
know what I have to offer them. I know how many leads a month they're going to average. Like I know all that now.
Hmm.
So like I'm like, yeah, like I know how much that's worth to you. I can break down the math. And like as I'm thinking about transitioning into a different niche, like I'm super passionate about like yoga and meditation and like green living and holistic health and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So I'm like, that's stuff that I'm really passionate about. And I was like, well, I could start doing marketing for like yoga studios because in my mind, like even if I'm just the person running the Facebook ad, and I connect one person to a yoga studio and that changes their life, in my mind, that's like a positive ripple that like I'm putting out in the world
Right.
that actually like makes me feel good. And
Right.
I'm like, well, like I haven't actually done ads for yoga studios, but
Hmm.
like I know how to.
Sure.
So even when I go to reach out to yoga studios, like let's say, you know, I found like 10 different yoga studios here in North Carolina, and I'm just going to email them and reach out and be like, hey, like, you know, I'm trying to run ads or whatever. Like, you don't have to work for free. Once
Hmm.
you've already done
Right.
ads and you know how it works and you know that you're going to get results, like you can do a discounted because you're like, I don't know how much money they're actually going to make, but I do know they'll make money.
Hmm.
So even if it's like $500 or something like that, be like, oh yeah, it's $500 plus ad spend, or like just depending on your niche, like $300. But like get used to asking for that
Yeah.
money and it will like help you go further. And then at least like once you start making money actually working online, you believe in your own dream that it's possible.
Right. And I mean, you've seen the results too. And then
Oh
it's
yeah,
not just
definitely.
kind of like who you're hanging out with. It's even in your mind. You know, your mind has shifted in the last 12 months about, you know, what you're capable of, for sure. I mean, what
Hmm.
you can do online and what you can produce. But
Definitely.
and I think those skills would be transferable whether you're, you know, regardless of what niche you're doing this in, you know, because the basics are virtually
Hmm.
the same. How do you drive traffic through Facebook? How do you, you know, create leads, the whole nine yards. So I mean, as you shift focus, it's not like you're starting something completely new that you're having to start from ground zero. You're virtually just kind of, it's like an algebra formula. You're just kind of changing the variables
Yeah.
in the equation. So let's
And
take
that's
a
like
little
how
shift.
marketing is across everything.
That's true. That is true. But if let's say Facebook quit tomorrow, what would you do?
Ooh, I'd probably go back to like building funnels for people because at the end of the day, like every bit of marketing is some extent of a funnel. It's like
Hmm.
figuring out the ideal client,
Right.
figuring out what you're trying to offer them and like how to display that message and then to take them from that first time they ever interact with their business to that top tier thing. So
Right.
like whatever that like, you know, free offer or whatever, $1 offer or coupon or whatever it is that's at your very bottom, how do you
Hmm.
take them from that journey to like the most lifetime value that you can from that consumer? And that's
Yeah.
like, that's what I was saying. Like marketing's kind of all the same everywhere. It doesn't
Right.
matter if you're a health blogger or you're a real estate agent who wants Facebook ads. It's the same principles and mentality.
So the idea of moving people in the, you know, from the top of the funnel into kind of the whole activation in the funnel of making the purchase or whatever. So do you actually work with your clients on developing what their offers are as well, or are you just marketing what they have?
It depends because like real estate's pretty easy
Hmm.
because like there's not much
It's a house or
to
not.
like offer. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean? Yeah,
Right.
like do you want to buy or sell a house or
Hmm.
no? But you know, we do work on like I have different clients who have like different offers. So like when I have clients who work with like mortgage lenders, like a lot of time I'll work with a team and the mortgage
Hmm.
lenders have like, oh, we do closing costs and stuff like that. Or we can do like a seller's guide, like, you know, here's the top 10 things to get more
Right.
value out of your home. So that is essentially a free offer that we're like
Hmm.
baiting people with to get leads.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we do like a 180-day email drip campaign. We do messenger bot campaigns. We do like the whole follow-up, automated texting. So like those are all funnel things to try to like get that person to go from like not knowing who you are and not caring to actually buying or selling a house and using you as their realtor and
Right.
trusting you.
And this is all through ClickFunnels, or you do it through Lead Pages or HubSpot? What are you using?
Um, so right now I do the Facebook ad, and usually that just goes to the realtor's website because most realtors get a free website anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we use like an IDX website, which just updates from like an MLS, so the housing's like it
Right.
stays current all the time. It's always updated. So a lot of time we'll just link to like a homes list on like either an IDX or just the MLS. Like we'll pull up a list on the MLS and link them directly there. And those pages are branded for the realtor that I'm working with.
Yeah, that's good.
And then the extra step would be that if you are controlling your own IDX website, you want to put your Facebook pixel in there so you can retarget people with that Facebook pixel. And then we use Lion Desk, which is just a CRM for real estate agents. And that's where we do our automated texting, our automated email, and then ManyChat for the messenger bot. And now what we actually have people do is we used to just send them directly to the website. And then once we started doing the messenger bot, now we send them to the messenger bot first. And the messenger bot sends them to the homes list, or sends them the resource that we're giving them from the ad. And then we connect it all with Zapier. And that's basically like the whole system. Like, it sounds like a lot when you don't know what you're doing when you first start. But like to me, now I'm like, wow, that's an easy, like minimal, like nice system. Everything's quick and easy to set up.
Works well together, integrates well with each other. So
everything,
when you first started,
everything flows well.
Did you make when you offered your services, did you say, okay, let's do this and then I'll take a percentage of the revenue? Or did you say there's a fee up front? And I mean, how did you first start marketing this and to where it's palatable to somebody, especially when you first got started?
Yeah. So I've always charged people like a monthly fee. And like, I've been pretty bad about, like when I first started, I was really bad about being like, this is exactly what's included. Because if you don't break it down and like tell people like this is exactly what you're going to get, you get a lot of like, I guess like scope creep would be like where you end up doing a lot of extra stuff and like they're not paying you enough for all the extra stuff, but you're so eager to please your first clients and you're so eager to do everything right that like you will just like work like crazy to make everything happen for your first clients. Because as soon as someone pays you like $1, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in this so deep. I have to do this perfectly. Like, so that happened to me a lot in the beginning. Cause I'd do something like I've done like, just in general funnel building. And like I told you, when I first started, I was all over the place. So like I had like a nutrition client who wanted to do online blogging and podcasts and have a membership site. And I like built her website and helped her with her email and helped her with marketing scheduling and helped her with her Facebook group. And I was kind of like, in a way, I was like her weird marketing like assistant who helped her with everything and helped her build her website. And like, I was doing everything and I was only charging her like $500 a month.
Yeah.
And like, that's not nearly enough for all the work that I was doing. But asking for like a monthly fee has always been like super easy for me, rather than like sitting down and figuring out like, I'm going to give you XYZ. Here's a detail of everything that's included. And this is how much time it's going to take me. And this is how much it's going to cost. So here's the total fee. Because when you first start, you have no idea how long stuff is going to take you, especially if you're not good at like sitting down and just plugging in. Because like for me, if I can sit down and concentrate and get in flow, I can set up a new client account in like an hour or two. If I'm not in flow and I'm just kind of like messing around, I have a couple tabs open, I'm listening to music, it might take me 3, 4, up to like 6 hours. So I'm like, it depends. I think like monthly retainers are good at first until you figure out exactly how long it takes you. And like, the effort that it's going to take. And then you can put a monetary value on it after that. And you can be like, okay, here's the fee, and then here's my monthly retainer on top of it. Right now, I still do monthly. So I do monthly payments and I do contracts. So I do 3 months minimum. Because the last thing you want to do is take all that time for the onboarding and the setup and everything like that. And then that client drop off like a month later. Because realistically, when you're doing any kind of marketing, like you might, I've gotten 150 leads in the first month. But in real estate, those leads aren't going to convert in that month. Those
Sure.
150 leads might not convert for 3, 6, even 12 months later.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's really easy for people to get discouraged in marketing and be like, oh, well, none of those leads are ready right now. And you
Right.
have to really pre-frame
Yeah.
like your niche, like, hey, like you might get these people, but don't anticipate making any money from this, maybe for like 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to stick with it. And then like, also it's not like an overnight thing. So like
Right.
Facebook ads, you have to make adjustments, give it a week or two, make an adjustment, give it a week or two, see
Mm-hmm.
what's happening so you can make those educated decisions
Yeah.
about like what you need to do next.
Especially, I mean, real estate has such a long tail to it. I mean, it's just there's such a lag because, but if they've been in real estate at all, they understand that because regardless of what their
Mm-hmm.
marketing strategy has been, prior to you coming into their, their orbit, then they understand that they're not going to meet
Mm-hmm.
somebody today and then sell them a house tomorrow. I mean, this is a relationship building
Mm-hmm.
thing. So over time, they may not need a house right now, but they may need a house in 18 months, and I'm the person that's,
Yeah.
front of mind to them or whatever. So, well, shift a little bit to the, I want to ask you, and we're going to circle back at the end with kind of the idea of like a baby micro course, thing that three people,
Yeah.
three things that you would tell somebody that wants to do what you did. But is there anything that we haven't touched on up to this point that you wanted to share that you think is really salient to people that are kind of considering this, or just kind of generic information, or a funny story that I haven't asked you about? You say, a funny travel story that you've got that you think would be,
Oh
they
gosh.
would really love to hear. So,
I mean, I could talk forever. But I guess like, oh man, like if I could really say like one thing for people like considering this, first of all, like one little tip, if you want to do Facebook ads for people, real estate's one of the hardest niches to get into. Pick something easier. Pick something local that happens quickly because
mm,
real estate, like you were just saying, because it's such a long drawn out like process from
right,
the time like a lead comes in to the time that they actually like the realtor makes money, it makes it one of the hardest niches to get into because you can't provide instant results like you could with a lot of local businesses.
right,
So I'll at least touch on that for anyone
yeah,
who's hearing me talk about that. And the next thing I would say is just like it sounds so lame, but like truly, like if you have that goal, break it into the smaller
mhm,
pieces and then just don't quit. Like I have struggled with like really bad anxiety and really bad depression in my life. And there's sometimes where like I don't even have the energy to want to get out of bed. And like that day, like even if you just open your phone and do like 5 minutes of meditation or something that's moving you closer to your goal, or you just send one email,
mhm,
like you just sent one email to a potential client, like that's still moving you closer
right,
to your ultimate goal.
right,
And like if you're like, oh gosh, like making $1 million, like that's so much money, that's so far away. But if you're like, okay, well, I want to make $1 million by the time I'm 30, how much money is that a week? How much, like,
mhm,
start breaking it down so you actually have like these incremental goals. And then, like forgive yourself. That's like a big thing, is like I was really hard on myself for a long time for not having everything figured out and for being bad at finances and for like just being like, I'm so dumb, I don't know how to do this. And then like you realize the more you like you forgive yourself and realize like even that one thing, like sending that one email, like you may have feel like you wasted like the whole day, but you sent that one email, like you didn't waste it. You
right.
just need to stay focused and keep doing those little micro actions over time.
Now you just can't do that forever, though. I mean, there has to be a time where you get up and
Yes,
you have to have a
that's
day where you
true.
are in flow, so to speak.
Yeah, but I think it's more that like when you're transitioning, like I was working as a bartender, so I was working full time, and then like I have all these things, and I think a lot of people feel that way. I feel like, I have my full time job right now that I'm not super happy with. I'm not
Mhm,
making that much money. I don't have a lot of extra money to spend on courses. I don't have a lot of extra time. Like you should definitely dedicate as much as you feel like you can. I mean, the more time you dedicate to it, the quicker you'll get there for
mhm,
sure. But like, just make sure you do at least one thing every day.
yeah,
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't ever have days where you're just like, no, I'm not going to work on that today. Because
right.
as soon as you let yourself out of that flow and like away from that goal and it's not on the top of your mind, like it becomes easier and easier to like let that dream just like float away and like
Sure.
never go after it.
Yeah.
So
And
keep
time speeds
focused.
up. The older you get, time speeds up.
Oh my
So
God.
you're 27 today, and you look up, and I'm 47, and now I'm like, what happened the last 20 years here? So
Yeah, exactly. And like, oh gosh, it really, really does. Like, I'm like, I can't believe I've already been doing this for 2 years. Like, that time
mhm.
to me has just flown by. I can't believe
Yeah,
I've been traveling now for like, for or like not even a year, but like, I'm like, wow, like I've been to Europe and Africa and Asia, and I'm about to go to South America. And I just started traveling in May. And like,
wow,
how am I living so much life in such a short amount of
yeah,
time? But like, it just flies by.
yeah,
And I mean, you just like, we had talked about, like, you just have to take control
hmm,
because you don't want to wake up 10 years from now and be like, whoa, like, what did I do? I didn't like even move myself closer to that goal.
mm,
So, I mean, it's really important to stay focused on those things and know what you want and write it down, put it in your phone, keep a journal, like stay focused on it. You
right,
might not even know like how to get closer to that goal, but you can be like, okay, well, I think this will move me closer.
hmm,
Start taking those actions. And as you do, you'll learn more and you'll like, the next step will like unveil itself and you'll be like,
sure,
okay, like I'm ready. Like I see that now and I'm going to go there and do that.
right. Well, one of the questions that I'd sent you beforehand was just kind of how do you wrap it up with a kind of a little mini micro, 3-step micro course on people that may want to do what you're doing. So you may have already touched on all those points and just some of the other questions, but if somebody is wanting to get into this lifestyle, this nomad, digital nomad lifestyle, this kind of design your own, life work integration, what would be 2 or 3 just really quick points that you think you've got to do these, you've got to follow these things, this is the roadmap to get there? So
So I would say like the quickest way, in my mind, the quickest way to make easy money online is through Facebook ads. It's very popular right now, and there's a lot of businesses that don't do it still. So like it's
mhm,
a great market to pop into because you have a lot of like available clients who you can actually help. So like my first step, I guess, would be like go to Udemy or go like online, watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos, find as many free resources as you can, or buy like Udemy course on running Facebook ads and like get
mhm,
yourself familiar with that. Because in general, when you start learning Facebook ads, you're going to start understanding ads in general and how they work and how to set them up and like the psychology behind ads and marketing. So that's like only going to be good for you no matter what you do in your life, because once you like understand psychology and marketing, like you'll always be able to drive business either to yourself or to others.
see, that
And then I would
122 hours was not wasted. I don't care if you have a diploma or not, you have a lot of education in
yeah, that's true.
nothing's wasted. Yeah, I'm
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
so then I guess step two would be like actually taking the action. So take
Hmm,
that knowledge and go try to find clients. Like I don't care how much you embarrass yourself or how much you don't feel qualified or whatever it is. Go out there and try to take the things that you learned and run ads for people. Even if you have to start doing it for free or
hmm,
only ask $100 or whatever, start adding that into your current income. And then like the transition there is like get those clients and start walking away from your job. So whether you go down to part-time or like me, I went down to like only working a day or two a week, but I was like kind of like in that transition period. And then I would say like the third and final step would be like book a ticket. Maybe not, you don't necessarily have to book a one-way ticket, but to me, I think booking a one-way ticket is the ultimate like sever of the cord. Like I have to figure this out. I might be stuck in this country if I don't figure it out. And that will light a fire under your butt for sure to like make things happen. And a lot of people don't realize like when you want to be a digital nomad, I guess I kind of like leave this out, get rid of all of your stuff. Like step
mm,
three is like
yeah, minimize
cut the
your,
cords. Like I have
yeah,
2 boxes of stuff that I have at a friend's house, and that's all I own now because now I have no
wow,
rent. I have no
hmm,
car. I don't have to pay insurance. Like I don't pay for any of that. So now, like, what you don't realize is it's cheaper for me to travel full time, even with my plane tickets, than it was for me to rent an apartment in the US. So I
and the
literally
car and
travel the
insurance and all
world
that.
and I save more money than
Wow,
I did when I was just living in an apartment, like wishing I was traveling. So, like, book that one way ticket. I recommend, like, Thailand's a really easy place to start. It's super cheap. It's like, you're going to meet tons of like Chiang Mai, tons of digital nomads, really, really cheap, tons of English speakers, great place to start, tons of co-working. Medellin's another really good place
Mm-hmm.
because it's pretty close to the US. You're not going to change time zones too much. It's getting more expensive because it's gained popularity. But
Sure.
like, as an example, I'm going there next week and my rent for a month, or it's like 33 nights. I got an Airbnb and I'm paying like $400 for it for like a month.
Wow.
And I'm
That's
living in like a
incredible.
nice condo in a high rise in the nicest neighborhood downtown.
By yourself? Or are
So
you sharing this with somebody else or?
I'm sharing it with a local. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm living with a Spanish speaker who's like a woman who also is an entrepreneur.
Mm.
So like, and I found her
What
on
a great idea.
on Airbnb. So like go
Wow.
on Airbnb, do for a month. That's another thing is like
Mm-hmm.
when you cut that cord and you just like I'm booking a one-way ticket. I don't have all my bills back home now because I got rid of my house, got rid of my car, got rid of like I minimize your expenses as much as you can, because the
Yeah.
more you minimize your at-home expenses, like the easier it is. Like now your Airbnb is your rent. Like you're not paying rent and your Airbnb. It's just like that one thing. And like when you book for a month on Airbnb, a lot of time you'll get crazy discounts. So like my place in Colombia, I got 50% off just because I booked the place for a month.
Wow.
So like if you can stay in a place for a month long, a lot of time it will be like the same as if you had only stayed there for like 2 or 3 weeks. You're getting like a week free or something like
Right.
that.
As
So
I want you to, when this goes live, I want you to go back and I want you to watch the YouTube version of this interview. And because when people are, and I'm sure you get asked this constantly, and that was another question I wanted to ask you, but the idea that when they contact you online, they say, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this digital
yeah.
nomad thing? I mean, you're shifting into, you're still doing kind of Facebook ads, but I would think you could make just about as much money just answering questions on how to transition to being a digital nomad. I mean, are you
And that's
kind of combining those two things together? I mean, I'm doing a little life coaching here or
yeah. So
career
that's
coaching.
actually like well, that's so like I told you about my live stream. So I'm starting to stream on Twitch because I get so many people messaging me now asking these questions.
Mhm.
And it's like I want to be able to answer them all individually, but I honestly like I get so many messages at this point.
Yeah.
I can't sit on my Facebook Messenger, my Instagram Messenger, and I can't personally message all these people all the time.
Right.
And it's really hard to sit here and like text this out again, again, again. It's really easy for like if someone jumps on my stream and is asking me questions and I'm having like a conversation with them, and we might like I had 11 average viewers yesterday from my
Mhm.
stream. It was my first stream. And it's like all those 11 people are getting to hear the same message. So like I'm getting to answer multiple people at once and like make this content that I can like later decide to like put cross platform.
Yeah.
And like that is definitely like when I first started, I wanted to travel the world and show people like how to live a better, happier life, like how to get themselves out of that dark place that I was in. And now I had felt so much like a fraud, I guess, because I hadn't done it. Like I was still
Mm.
in the dark place. I still wasn't a digital nomad. So I was like,
Yeah.
how can I teach other people how to fix their life if I haven't done it myself? And now I'm like coming out the other end where I'm like, wow, I have done it myself now. And I still desperately like want to help other people do this. And that's kind of like what I'm working on right now is like, I say that like I'm a happiness strategist because like I met someone in Bali who was a happiness strategist. And like to me, like teaching people how to make money, I'm not super passionate about that. What I am really passionate about is teaching other people how to like craft their dreams and how to live like a happier, more fulfilling life. Because I think like if I'm like, hey, I'll teach you how to make money online, take my Facebook ads course. I'm like, everyone's doing that,
Mhm.
like that's easy to me. But like teaching you how to actually take control of your life and how to build the life of your dreams and take the steps to actually become happier and
Right.
live that life, like that's what I want to help people do. And like right now that's my thing is like I just have to figure out like how do I actually take someone from point A to point B.
Right. I think you answered that in the last hour on this interview. That's why I say I want you to go back and listen because you probably don't even realize how many things you really have already figured out that you're on that
Yeah.
question and you're thinking, well, I have to think about that, but actually you don't because it's there. I mean, if I ask you a question, you just answered it out of experience and out of, kind of the almost the school of hard knocks, so to speak. You learn these things by trial and error. So you've
Yeah,
learned it.
it's
You've changed quite a bit probably in the last 12 months, I would think, even personality
oh
wise. And I mean, just, just the whole outlook on, what tomorrow's going to bring. But it's just been, it really has been a course. And this has been much
Mhm.
more than an interview. It's been a course of people that are going to watch this, and people will take action based on the things you've just said today. So,
Yeah.
you
I
may
mean, that's
never know.
amazing to hear because I still have that like imposter like syndrome where I'm like, am I qualified? Like, but the thing is, like, I'm literally like walking the talk now. So
For sure.
like, I'm like, okay, like, even if I'm not like the best business person or the smartest person with finances or whatever, like, I have actually done it and I've
Yeah.
figured it out and I've taken enough risk that like
Yeah.
now I'm like, okay, I can tell you at least how to do like avoid the things that I did
Right.
wrong at the very
Exactly.
least. Like,
Exactly. And you learn from other people. I mean, you probably picked their brains and said, okay, how come this isn't working? What did you do to change this? But one thing that's really unique about your story too, and I mean, I've talked to a number of people that kind of fit in that same demographic, is that, you're not, it's almost like there are digital nomads out there that really are just franchisees. They've in essence taken a
mhm,
course, or they've joined a movement, so to speak, and they're really just selling the products of that thing, whether it's a high
mhm.
ticket affiliate or whatever it is. But that's really just a franchise to me. They just trained you to do their marketing program. You just did it, but you really had to figure it out almost from
Yeah.
square one. I think that is more valuable experience for people that want to transition into this role. So I want to really encourage you, and just, give you kudos about just the path you've walked, and appreciate you, just taking the time today to kind of share that with our audience. And just wrap up right now with telling us how people can find you online, and who the ideal person is that is looking for you. Who, or maybe it's both. Maybe I want to be a digital nomad, but I want to open a yoga studio. I mean, who's the ideal person that you?
No yoga studios.
Yeah,
No, I can't be tied down yet, so I can't get a physical
that's
location.
right.
So like for people to find me online, I just started doing Twitch and I plan on probably streaming like live traveling, like when I'm like in the airport or whatever. Like I have to get an international mobile hotspot eventually to do that. But
Mhm.
Twitch is going to be great because it's going to be me talking kind of like this.
Mhm.
Like people can come in and just ask me questions, and I'll just be live talking and answering. And
Yep.
I may be playing some video games while I'm answering questions,
Yeah,
but
you're a big gamer. You come from a family of gamers. I think you said once that.
yeah, like it's super awesome. I'm on Instagram a lot, so like my travels, I put up like a lot of pretty pictures of my traveling, and I put up like Instagram stories so like people can see like the day in and day out of like actually being in other countries.
Yeah.
Like one
Yeah.
time I was like basically in the back of a truck in Morocco when we were hitchhiking, like just like filming, like being in the back of the truck. So like funny stuff like that is always on my Instagram. And I would say like right now, like my ideal person, like as I transition and I'm moving more towards like coaching people,
Mhm.
I would say someone who's gotten themselves like in a career where like maybe they're making all right money, but they're not like super happy and they still always consider traveling the world, but they just don't know like, how do I take these steps?
Right.
Like, what do I need to be doing? And like I wish I could help everyone in the world. Like I know there's a lot of people who are struggling financially who I wish that I could help them, and that's like what my Twitch is for. That's what like my
Mhm.
free content is going to be
Yeah.
for, like people who can't afford a formal coach and they can come in and just ask me some questions. But my coaching is going to be like much more intense. Like it's going to
Mhm.
be for people who want to like be on the phone with someone every week, and someone who's like pushing them out of their comfort zone and
Yeah.
pushing them towards that dream life and asking them like some hard questions. Like
Mhm.
I had to do some hard things to get where I am in my life. You know, I had
Yeah.
to leave a bad relationship when I was with someone for a really long time.
Right.
I had to move out on my own when I didn't even know how to pay rent. Like
Right.
I had to do a lot of hard things, but like I literally regret not a single day. And like I feel so blessed every day when I wake up. Like I have
Mm.
such an incredible, amazing life now that like sometimes I honestly can't believe that my life is real. And I want to give that to other people.
Yeah. That is so cool. Well, Abby, we've gone on today because I just didn't, there was no natural place that I wanted to stop sharing the story. So you have given us a lot of time today, and just really just I think provided our listeners so much value, and me personally. I mean, I really have enjoyed this kind of interchange and just hearing your story, And I mean, I've learned a great deal today as well, but just thank you for playing your part in just helping all boats rise in a rising tide. Abby, have a great day. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.